My wife cheated on me 1 week after we got married. And I didn't find out that night. I didn't find out a year later. I found out 6 years later. And when she finally confessed, she said she did it for drugs and alcohol. She said it meant nothing. But then she told me what happened after. She came home, got into bed beside me, and acted like nothing had happened.
Huh?
Honestly, I don't even know how you're supposed to process something like that. Hi everyone, I'm Hannah, and today's story comes from a 25-year-old husband who has been married to his wife for 6 years. They got married young, and he admits they were both pretty immature at the time. But his wife was struggling with something much more serious. She was addicted to alcohol and drugs, and I mean seriously addicted. She would sneak shots before work, and if she went a full day without drinking, she would start shaking. So this wasn't just someone who liked to party. She had a real addiction. But despite all of that, they stayed together. They worked through a lot of problems together. And according to the husband, they had always been honest with each other, almost to a fault. Over the years, his wife eventually got sober. And as of last year, she was completely sober. After everything they'd been through, it sounded like they had finally reached a much better place. Until 1 week ago, when she told him something she had been hiding for 6 years. She had cheated on him. During the first week of their marriage, 6 years earlier, his wife had gone to a random party where she was drinking and taking drugs. The husband had wanted to go to bed that night because he had work the next morning. She wanted to keep drinking with him, but he went to sleep. And once he was asleep, she left the house. She went to the party, continued drinking, and taking drugs. Then, one of the guys there offered her drugs if she slept with him, and she said yes. She slept with another man during the first week of her marriage, and then she went home. She got into bed next to her husband and acted like nothing had happened. No confession, no explanation, nothing. And for the next 6 years, he had absolutely no idea until 1 week ago when she finally told him. She said she did it for the drugs and alcohol, and she said it meant nothing. And honestly, that's where this gets really complicated, because for her, this happened 6 years ago. For him, it happened last week ago. That's when he found out. That's when the entire beginning of his marriage suddenly looked different. And now, he's completely torn. Part of him wants to stay. He wants to work through this with his wife. Because she's sober now. She's not the same person she was 6 years ago. And they've spent so much time working through problems together. They've built a life together, and they've made it through difficult times. So walking away isn't exactly an easy decision. But then, there's the other part of him. The part that keeps asking, how could she do that to me? How could she leave the house, go to a random party, take drugs, sleep with another man, come home, get into bed beside her husband, and act like nothing happened? Even if she was struggling with addiction, that doesn't automatically erase the betrayal. And even if she says it meant nothing, he still has to live with the fact that she made that choice. And I think that's what he's really struggling with. Because this isn't only about cheating. It's about finding out that something happened at the very beginning of your marriage that you knew nothing about. Imagine spending 6 years believing you knew exactly how your marriage started, only to discover there was a secret sitting underneath all of it. That's a completely different kind of pain. And now, he's trying to figure out what that secret means for everything they've built since then. Because on one hand, his wife really has changed. She's sober, she's worked on herself, and they've worked through so many things together. So maybe this is something they can survive. Maybe the person she is today should matter more than the person she was 6 years ago. But then, there's that question he can't seem to escape. How could someone who was supposed to be his wife do something like that? Because she didn't just make the decision, she came home afterward. She got into bed beside him and said nothing. He went to sleep, thinking everything was normal, while she knew exactly what had happened. And for 6 years, he never knew. That's the part that makes this so hard. He's not saying his wife hasn't changed. He's not saying she isn't sober. And he's not saying their entire marriage was a lie. He's trying to decide whether he can forgive something that happened 6 years ago, when he only found out about it 1 week ago, and honestly, I can understand why he's torn. Because there are two completely different sides pulling him in opposite directions. On one side, there's the woman she is now. She's sober. She's changed. She's been honest with him, even though it took 6 years. And they've already built 6 years of marriage together. But on the other side, there's what happened. She cheated on him during the first week of their marriage, and now he has to process all of that at once. He says part of him wants to stay and keep working on the marriage, but another part of him keeps asking, how am I supposed to forget this? How am I supposed to trust her, knowing what she did? And maybe that's the hardest part. It's not only about what she did back then, it's about what he has to do with that information now, because he can't go back and change what happened. He can't erase it. He can't pretend he never heard it. All he can do is decide what happens next. And right now, he doesn't know. He's caught between the woman he knows today and the betrayal he just discovered 6 years of marriage against one terrible decision that happened during the very first week. And honestly, I don't think there's an easy answer. She was struggling with addiction. She's sober now, and they've spent years on building a life together, but at the same time, she cheated on him during the first week of their marriage and kept it from him for 6 years. So now, I want to know what you think. If you were in his position, would you stay and try to work through it? Or would finding out about the cheating 6 years later be enough to end the marriage? Do you think her addiction changes how you look at what happened? Or does the fact that she came home, got into bed beside him, and kept the secret for 6 years make it impossible to forgive? Let me know what you think in the comments. Because honestly, this is one of those stories where I can understand why people might feel completely differently. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you want to hear more real Reddit stories like this, thank you so much for listening.